Vaccines and antibodies are being developed around the world to stop the deadly coronavirus from claiming more lives. Here in South San Francisco, researchers at a biotech company believe that they've found a solution. Joining me is Distributed Bio and Centivax CEO Dr. Jake Glanville. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me on, Ella.
Thanks for being here again. We actually talked in April when you were sending off some antibodies that your lab has developed to the U.S. military for a review, and altogether 3 independent labs took a look at them. So what were the results?
So we sent our antibodies out to USAMRIID, which is part of the Department of Defense, to Galveston National Laboratories, the University of Texas Medical Branch, and to Stanford University, to Peter Kim's laboratory. And all 3 laboratories reported back that our antibodies are potently neutralizing the virus, which means that if our antibody is present, the virus is no longer able to infect human cells. That gives us a drug. So we are moving forward. We have since given our antibodies to hamsters. So hamsters can get COVID-19. We are currently testing at both the Galveston National Laboratory as well as the USAMRIID laboratory. We're giving our antibodies to hamsters either before infection or after infection to see can it treat an already infected hamster so that it doesn't get the symptoms of COVID-19. And then also, can we give it as a prophylaxis to protect a hamster from getting infected?
And we've learned that 100,000 Americans have already lost their lives to the coronavirus. So what is news like this bringing you guys some more hope in this discovery, and that maybe it can be made available to humans after, of course, this process of now having seen what it does for hamsters?
Yeah, I mean, the 100,000 deaths is pretty breathtaking. And again, it speaks to the need that we have for a medicine that we can give in hospitals. I'm really glad that we're working on vaccines, but you cannot give a vaccine to someone who's already sick. That's why we're working on this antibody, that just like what we're expecting to see with the hamsters, what we've already seen in human cells, if someone comes in a hospital, this is a medicine you could give them so that they don't get more sick and they can go home faster, and that can help avoid some of this crisis.
And developing a vaccine takes much longer, so you guys took the antibody route using the cousin of coronavirus, SARS. Can you tell me again about how this antibody was produced?
Yeah, so this is a pretty cool approach. We went back and we're trying to figure out how to save as much time as possible on the development of a new medicine. So we went back to antibodies that researchers had developed against SARS in the outbreak almost 20 years ago. And because SARS is a cousin of the novel coronavirus, we figured, and it turns out correctly, that we were able to mutate those antibodies so that they can now recognize and neutralize the novel coronavirus. So that worked. We sent them out, they neutralized the virus so it can no longer infect human cells, and now we have them in with hamsters, and we're going to be able to report on that probably as early by the end of next week to show that they're protecting hamsters from getting sick as well. At that point, we are already gearing up to go in through manufacturing, to be able to produce enough batches of our antibody to get into human trials, but we're planning for success. So that means we're also focusing on technologies that can produce hundreds of thousands or millions of batches of the medicine, because the minute we know we have a working medicine that is safe and is protecting humans from the coronavirus, we want to make sure the world has access to it.
And is this a known method? Has it been used before, and what were the results then?
This is a super well-established method. So antibodies are what your body's using to protect you from, chicken pox and the flu and things like that throughout your life. Vaccines are designed to tickle your immune system to produce antibodies. People before us have chosen to do what we're doing, which is just engineer the antibody itself and cut out the middleman. So in the Ebola crisis, antibodies were a revolutionary therapy. They went from taking Ebola to be very deadly to, if you got the antibodies in time, 94% of people would be okay. Also with rabies. Rabies is horribly deadly. Nobody survives rabies, but if you get the antibodies, everybody survives. And so rabies is no longer as scary as it once was once we had an antibody therapy. And the list goes on. So antibodies are great choices. We have all the reasons to feel confident this is going to be an effective therapy here, and it has the advantage that it's had millions of years of evolution, so that the antibodies are compatible with our bodies, so we're not going to have the kinds of toxicity that you might have with other new medicines that people are trying to develop.
And so what is now needed to move forward into the next stage of the human trials?
The main thing is money, and we're going to be able to have a positive announcement on that front with some help with an arm of the government who believes in our work and is setting us up to be able to drive this forward quickly. Next step there is really just manufacturing. That's the longest part of this process, and we are working with 3 different groups to enable us to do rapid manufacture using 3 different technologies. Part of that is so that we have risk mitigation. Just in case one of those technologies falters, we can deliver it to the humans who need it as quickly as possible. The other part of it is that every nation has a problem of being able to produce enough doses. So we want to be able to have our drug be able to be produced in 3 different orthogonal manufacturing technologies that use different types of plants to make sure that no matter what happens, we can produce enough of this medicine for all the people who need it in all hospitals around the world.
And if that proves successful, how would it then be made available to the public? Is it once they get into a hospital, let's say for treatment, would that antibody then be made available in that office or hospital setting to administer?
Sure. So the thing we normally notice with viruses, and that seems to be true here with the coronavirus as well, is that the earlier you get the treatment, the better off you are. That was shown with the remdesivir treatment, that the folks, once they're already intubated, they're in pretty tough luck. They have some other problems besides the virus. They have a whole bunch of their own immune system attacking themselves. So what you really want to do is give the medicine early. Our phase trials are set up to give medicine to people on admit to a hospital. We also have an arm to give it to people who are in serious trouble because they need medicine too. And then finally, there's an opportunity to give the medicine as a prophylaxis or protection. So people that might be elderly, the immunocompromised, or first responders. So people at a hospital, firemen, folks that are high risk, you can give it to them to avoid them getting sick in the first place. And so we're going to throw all the spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks and see where our drug can be the most effective so that we can immediately start just delivering it to everyone who currently has no medicine. And with this, hopefully they have one.
Well, congratulations on this great news, and hopefully we have more to celebrate in the coming months as you learn about the next step.
Thank you. Everybody stay safe out there. We're getting close.
You're watching Chron on the Bay Area streaming news 24/7.